This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and in a very special way tonight, Auburn family. The easy way to say it, though, is if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing this evening here in our live recording of this podcast. I'm already messing up because I'm excited to talk about what I want to talk about. I'm your main co-host, as always, Kyle Loomis, in chair number one of the Sunshine Pumping one very much this evening. And the other guy who's, I'm sure, Sunshine Pumping tonight too, but definitely not as much as this guy right here. But welcome, Austin, to episode 181 of the Auburn Experience podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much. Episode 181. Hope our viewers and listeners have had a good week. I know you've had a good week. So we're excited to bring it to you, and it'll be a fun one. You look, you got tech issues, you got stumbling on the opening monologue. There's just too much going on.
Yeah, I say this too often, and Austin gets to see me before the show just when tech is just the bane of my existence, and watch me when Eureka, it actually worked. That's
right.
All that kind of stuff going on. But hey, listen, it's been a week. It has procedure and all that. Procedure went fine. I know. I think I mentioned that on some other content. We're doing good in that format, but nothing else going on. Just that was my big announcement, and yeah, that was it, Austin. I just wanted you to know I'm doing okay.
We finally fixed Kyle's other foot. The Macon East is finally like, oh, that was the problem. We knew it. But we're glad that went well. And look, you already hinted at it, but the Auburn experience is always about sports, culture, and family. We call ourselves the family within the Auburn family, but we also have families within the family of the Auburn family. And mine are very well documented and usually heard as they need to be little extra bylines on this podcast because they're usually running around out that door.
It's fine with me.
We might get some of that from you here soon, right?
Yeah, listen, I will say this. If you have been paying attention over the last almost 10 months, almost 10 months, you would probably have heard some things. You probably would have seen me addressing something. You might even see my eyes cutting over into a corner on various broadcasts because there's things that I've had to monitor. So I'll take a little minute here and talk. Finally, we said what 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, big announcement coming. Couldn't do it because of reasons. Well, we'll leave it at that. Well, I'm all choked up already. Not really.
Don't get to squalling now.
Don't get to squalling. No, obviously, if you know me personally, you know a little bit about my story and my wife's story and our journey to parenthood. And it has been one that's been a little bit tumultuous, but never out of God's design and God's control. We are pleased to finally announce that after almost 10 months of waiting, we are the proud and have been the proud parents of a beautiful little baby girl named Hannah Faith Loomis. And we have adopted her, and she is our precious little baby girl. And finally get to say that publicly. She's been out there on the social medias personally and stuff. And I don't know how much we'll visually show her here and stuff right now, given the newness of it all. And, even though everything is, as far as I know and understand things, safe and sound, there's always that little bit of a, hey, man, let's just hold off just a little bit. But yes, you can now officially call me Daddy, Austin. I don't know if that makes you uncomfortable, but you can do it if you wanted to.
We went there. We won't. I think you might have called me Daddy at one point in the last 3.5 years.
Clip that right there and just don't put any context with it.
Send that out. But no, man, obviously, you've entrusted me enough to know here for the last little while and walk through this journey with you guys. And so I'm glad we can publicly talk about it. And obviously I'm very excited for you guys. It has been, just to our viewers and listeners, it's been very rewarding and joyful for our family to get to walk alongside Kyle and Jessica and pray for them and be hopeful for them, be heartbroken for them, and in all sorts of ways. And so it is truly miracle and a just absolute blessing that Hannah is now Hannah Faith Loomis officially. And we are very excited for you guys, and look forward to seeing many Auburn cheerleader uniforms in your purchase history here.
Hey, Auburn cheerleader, we just did the Mount Rushmore of Auburn soccer. I've already said, listen, I think there's some room on that Auburn Mount Rushmore of soccer, even though there's some great names there for Hannah Faith Loomis to appear on there one day.
Well, that you're right. That is one of the things we discussed after the boys is will they be dual linebackers? Will they be a backcourt? We ruled out front court pretty quickly, I think. And
it's
so
tough for you. It's tough.
The genes aren't there, man. And so I have to ask you here, like, what is, let's throw out some options here of Hannah's future, in the next 18 years.
Well, let me just tell you this, because I love this baby girl so much. She can go anywhere she wants to, but if she wants anything paid for, how about this? I'll pay for her to go anywhere except a school across the state. I will go there to support her. I will be there for it every way. I've said that. I'll say that publicly here. But if she, wants to make her dad just more over the moon than he could ever be at this moment, that doesn't even seem possible at this moment, just decide to go to Auburn. She will not have really an option of not being inundated with it. In terms of dad's dreams and stuff, of course, as a big basketball fan, yes, I would love more than anything in the world for that to be true. I'm just going to step out on a limb here and say I don't know that that's going to be the strongest case for us. But if she wants to be a point guard one day, I think we can probably make that happen. Now, her dad was a swingman shooting guard, so my dribbling skills maybe aren't what they need to be, but I can certainly learn how to coach her up in that way.
You got time.
Listen, I got time. Listen, I don't care what she wants to do. If she just wants to be, the greatest Auburn, musician that went through their music program, or the greatest educator, that came through, or just not even just whatever she wants to be. Obviously, I want the best for her, and of course, the best for her is to go to Auburn and be an Auburn person and all that kind of stuff. So, we have already, Austin, I'll tell you this much, put several Auburn outfits. I mean, one of the first things I think she had was a picture of Obby on her outfit. Bobby. I don't know if we'll go Bobby. I mean, maybe we'll see how it works out.
Sometimes they decide, man.
They do decide sometimes, and we're still trying to work through who exactly is mom and dada, because we combine them all at some point, and then but she shocked me the other day. We're going through the store, and I sneezed and say, "Excuse me," and out of the blue, she mimics me and says, "Excuse me," and I'm like, "What the heck? Like, we can't get mom and dad down."
It's too easy.
But excuse me, we can do.
Why take the easy route?
But yeah, I mean, my favorite thing that she's worn so far, and I didn't realize we had this until I pulled it out of the drawer, is a little orange onesie that says, "My diaper smells like Alabama."
That's fantastic. That is absolutely amazing.
The best one ever. I think she's outgrown it now. And if you've ever met her, you'll be like, duh, she is, very clearly, growing fast. You take a look at her, but we're obviously over the moon and excited. And just as a little bit of a personal PSA here, if you are going through the journey of adoption, I want you to know that you have someone here that understands the highs, but also the extreme lows of that. I will not say too much publicly, but we did have a failed adoption, and I will say her name, Abby. She is my first daughter. She is, doesn't live with us, but we try as best we can to stay connected with her. And so that is Hannah's sister. But so I will say this: if you ever need someone to talk to, if you're in the middle of that, if you're struggling with your journey to parenthood, you have two people right here that, Austin as well, but when I say two people, my wife and I, that can walk alongside with you. And we don't have the answers, but we do know has them. And we pray that you will find those answers that he provides, that the Lord provides in the journey that is parenthood, sometimes the roundabout journey that it is. But all that to be said, yes, this little girl is going to love Auburn if her dad has anything to say about it. She's already been there. We have taken the picture in front of Sanford. I'll quit gushing, Austin. I've taken all of our time to start off the show, but there's a pitch. Man, you go ahead.
You've had 10 long months to wait to gush. You get to do all the gushing you want. I was surprised. I do remember you telling me that that picture was out there, and I was surprised that was not your announcement photo. Although the ones you had were much more beautiful and much
Well,
cuter.
I have to make a bigger post. Because I couldn't. The problem with waiting so long for this is like you have so many pictures. It's like, how do you do justice of all these beautiful pictures and funny pictures of her?
That
And
doesn't
like
stop, by the way.
oh no. Like that's the problem is I've already got like my phone is literally, obviously Abby has got a bunch in there, but Hannah and then Auburn stuff, like Auburn content stuff, I've got to clean out. But I will tell you, my favorite thing so far is we took a picture with Abby in this bench right at, in front of Sanford Hall. And if you've seen a post that we made on my personal social media, is anybody out there seen that, you'll see that we recreated that picture with her and Hannah in that same kind of completing the circle and kind of reclaiming what was a very, bittersweet photo for us. So our girls have been part of Auburn since the moment we had them. And whether they like it or not, their dad's going to make sure they understand what it's like to be a part of the Auburn family, good or bad. So,
that's right.
And the roller coaster ride that so many of you understand that it to be out there, they're gonna know about all that too. So anything for you, sir? I had something else that I could throw at us, but I'll save it for next week. But anything for you? I took up a bunch tonight.
No, you're more than welcome. This was your time, and no, I mean that's a pretty good week for us. So I did collect some things recently from an Auburn estate sale. So not tonight. I don't have
good. I'm glad though, because I've got something related to that too.
Okay, good. Yeah, yes. I don't have it all with me and prepared for this evening. I'm looking at one thing, but I have we found a few things that they're going to be good. One's more seasonal, like Christmassy, and a couple other things are just like good Auburn finds. So we did that this week. It was a good estate sale. It was very busy, but we always love doing that. And but I did think of you and our audience here because we always love show and tell at lunch.
Show and tell at lunch. If you know the reference, you know what we're talking about there. And yes, we will do those when we have time. I found a really cool find for something that you probably won't ever get again. And that's just a little tease for maybe in the future.
Yes.
But real quick housekeeping: Austin will not be with us next Sunday. We do plan to do another episode 182 at this time. Obviously, it's going to be SEC Media Days week, so I know that y'all will be chomping at the bit for that. So we'll have something on Sunday night, probably episode 182. Austin just won't be with us. We will miss him, but he made it here for the announcement of announcements that's been waiting to be announced for way too long.
Way too long. Way too long.
Do
you want to before the Hannah topic will never be over because she's now ingrained in our show. Probably whether we want her to be or not, as we've seen with my boys as well. Do you want to peel back the curtain at all about when you were on location?
When I was on location,
did anyone pick up on the land of cowbells?
Oh, yes. Real quick. Okay, so if you want to go back and just kind of piece together some of this, go to, maybe October last year and figure out certain references I was dropping. There was a blank wall behind me with nothing for a while, and the sound of cowbells. So there you go. I think that's all the hint that you need where I was. I will tell you, and we did adopt her from the state of Mississippi, and she is, she's a Mississippi girl by birth. She's going to be a Georgia girl by living, but she's going to be an state of Alabama girl at heart because that's where Auburn is.
Yes.
You can go do that. And I don't know what show it is, Austin, but there's one I did from my mother-in-law's house. And if you go, it's probably 10 minutes into the show, there was this amount of screaming and stuff going on. You remember this one?
Oh, I vividly remember because I remember looking at you like, are we good? Like, are we, do we want this to continue or?
I do the show there if I ever have to do it up there in this other room, upper room. And normally it's away from everything. There's not a door to close off, but it's so far into the other bowels of the house that you're like, okay, it's fine. And then all of a sudden, Jessica and my sister-in-law they have a child as well that was born 1 month before. Sweet little cousin story there. They decided we're going to do craft time with the baby girls at this moment in the kitchen. That's right down the hall from where I just went up. And so if you go listen, you will hear not happy screams of craft time. And the crafts worked out great.
Of course.
But
it's the end result always works out the The way to get there can be rough. No, I remember that very well because I remember I was kind of looking down at our notes and thinking, and I remember looking at you being like,
We
right.
good?
I remember actually first thinking, so this is what Kyle feels like.
Yeah.
When the other door, which is not in the bowels of anywhere, is occupied. But yeah, that's out there, and I'm sure people heard it and wondered, oh, what's that?
A lot of piecing together you can do over the last 10 months if you really want to do some digging. And I know some of you in our viewing audience did some digging this week for other things. So go get to work and you can kind of piece together the full story if you'd like to. Yeah, we're not done talking about her. We're never going to be done talking about both of our children, our families and our children. But they're as much a part of the Auburn family as you guys are. And of course, we're going to oblige ourselves whenever we can. To gush about them. All right, Auburn potpourri time, if that was enough. So this is going to be a unique show. So technically, Auburn potpourri is going to extend as far as we need it to, but there will be a major section of it that's going to be schedule oriented as part of one of our main topics. So, but for right now, let's park it here in some other news stories for the week that happened. And let's start with baseball, because I think this is a pretty big story this week and has a lot of people very happy with the state of the program. And this is juxtaposed, Austin, with the MLB draft and the bittersweet nature. We talked about that. You want to see them having success, people getting drafted, but then you get a lot of your talent not only leaving your team from the draft, but those that you're supposed to be bringing in. And so it's like that double-edged sword. But if you're worried about it, if you're worried about how are they going to reload, not just on players, finding ways to improve your team. Well, the announcement came this week that Gabe Gross, our assistant coach, and has been, mainly focused on offense and hitting, from my understanding about exactly what his role and title was. You had his announcement this week that he was going to move in a different role at Auburn, assisting the program in a different way, not necessarily as an assistant coach. So that obviously opens up a slot. And we started we started talking, it's like, is this happening tomorrow? This feels very planned. And not even 24 hours later, Coach Amoretti, UGA, another Georgia person Auburn has sniped in a different program this year, is your new assistant coach for Coach Butch Thompson and offense hitting coach for the Auburn baseball team. That was quite the news story this week, Austin.
Quite the news story. My first reaction when I saw Gabe was leaving was 9 years. It really had not felt like that long.
Nope.
But 9 years he'd been at Auburn as the offensive, I don't want to say coordinator, but that's probably the comparison there, right? You know the pitching coach and you know the hitting coach. But Gabe at third base was the third base coach, has been there for 9 years, and so that's kind of surprising. And I know there's a lot of there can be a lot of angst about when the offense doesn't do right. That's a very glaring issue, and a lot goes on one person. That's just not fair in itself. But Gabe did a very masterful job while he was here in 9 years, and it looks like he's going to be sticking around. An Auburn man through and through, obviously from his playing days all the way through being around the program and then being an actual integral part of the program. And now we'll continue that in a role within Auburn athletics. So very, very glad that he's still around and his family's still around the Auburn area. But then, like you said, they bring in Coach Amoretti, or Coach Ammo, sounds like the nickname, which is a pretty awesome nickname.
It is perfect. I mean,
so cool. But a guy that, like you said, planned but had a very close relationship with John Cohen and Butch Thompson by playing with them at Mississippi State, playing for them, not with them. And then has kind of elevated himself throughout the coaching ranks since his playing days were over, most recently at Georgia. If you watched any Georgia baseball last year, that was an offense that could absolutely hammer the ball and he had a lot of credit for kind of being involved in that. So a big addition, it sounds like, one with a lot of expectations, I'm sure, and a lot of high hopes, but man, I think that it looks like a great fit, and it looks like a comfortable fit for Butch Thompson, of a guy he knows very well and has seen kind of grow up to this level.
Yeah, I think this one, you start to ask the question: did it win the eye test? Did it win the headlines test? And it certainly does that. The press conference, and it certainly does, because if Auburn, by commentators' opinions, had an issue last year, was inconsistent hitting at times. Its pitching was just outstanding. I would argue that their hitting was pretty strong too. It just had a tendency here or there to go cold for a little bit. So if that is your area that you need to maybe shore up a little bit, it makes sense that if someone's moving on out, that you go and find someone that's different, and then you go get the team probably that had the best offense and figure out, hey, can we pay this guy and bring him on in? And boy, did they. So I think it's a home run hire. Yes, I made the joke. I know everybody.
Dad jokes already in full force, folks.
Yes, and with no shame anymore. None of you can shame me whatsoever anymore about that. So yes, I think it wins the perception game, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. And time will tell, does it all translate here? But here's the great thing. You watch his track record back to Kentucky, took them. I forgot about that. Took them to the College World Series too.
Yeah, their first time.
Yep. And then took Georgia there and made them the best offense, arguably, in college baseball at the time. So for me, obviously, a historic figure like Gabe Gross and Auburn having been part of the staff. Love those stories. We've had Tim Hudson part of the staff previously too. You know, those things just, they make you feel good, especially when they work out. But things aren't meant to last forever. If you got to find someone to replace a great name in the Auburn space like Gabe Gross, go get right now what seems to be the best hitting coach in all of college baseball. So I think it's a great week for Auburn baseball, even with the offseason not too far, into the full swing of things quite yet. So we'll have to wait until we can see what this new look offense will look like for Auburn baseball. We did get some more staff news and things like that. Just want to give some shout outs to track and field staff that is starting to be brought together under Ken Herndon. If you didn't watch this week, we've got it available for you. The press conference of him talking about his expectations and for the program in year one and stuff. Here, let me just give a shout out to him before we talk about the staff. I love the phrase, if they're giving out a trophy, we want it. Like he said that I don't care if you're not a track and field fan or an Auburn track and field fan, that should make you fired up to hear a coach just publicly say, if they are handing out a trophy, we want it. So
that's right.
Certainly we've been chronicling that a lot. Let me just give you a couple names of people to know as you get aware of this new staff that's trying to maintain the program that was by Coach Leroy Burrell. 2 Fosters, by the way. I found that very interesting. Associate head coach for track and field, Ryan Foster. You've also got, I think I've got them out of order here now, to be honest with you, and I've messed it up a little bit. There was
You're good.
I got the links.
The link I got.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was really trying to pull it up. It's okay. We're workshopping. I'm pasting it right now for you. Yep.
Oh, goodness gracious, Kyle. See, y'all.
Kara Foster.
Thank you.
More on the cross-country side, associate head coach cross-country.
Thank you. And I knew that's the we're going to be talking about her cross-country team here very soon.
That's right.
You've also got Jenna Gehring, who's going to be coming in as an assistant cross-country coach, director of operations too. So I don't think I've ever seen that before, a director of operations and officially a coach. Is that a new thing?
I don't know. It looks like she's with cross country as well. So I'm sure there's it needs its own kind of operations of how you get places to and where in the fall. So that doesn't surprise me. And I'm sure, I don't think they're reinventing the wheel here. That's probably been done by someone in the past. It's just more of a official title here, but it's very, very cool.
Yeah. So you have those, the Fosters, Gehring being added, Richard Fisher, assistant coach for jumps and multi-events. Now, I don't know, and I probably should have been prepared for this, but usually you have a throws coach as well. And I don't know that is either going to be changed or if there will be an announcement for that, because, if you kind of look how this all breaks down, you've got sprints covered, you've got distance covered, you've got jumps, multi-events covered. That's really the main thing that's lacking from the staff. If they don't, I know our last coach, when Leroy Burrell stayed, if I remember correctly, he stayed on. So there may be still a little bit left out there, but we had a ton of that news this week. So we just wanted to, while the track and field is still fresh in people's mind. And if you haven't been paying attention to the guys who just left Auburn to go be professionals on the national stage and Nigeria competitions, and even beyond that, the Diamond League, I think is what it's called.
Yep. Been a lot of news lately.
Just tearing it up there. So we ain't done talking about track and field, folks. We just wanted to make sure that you're aware of your new head coach, obviously, but the new coaches that are arriving for you to keep track of in the future. Let's talk about some football news. We did start off the show at least mentioning that SEC Media Days is right around the corner. In fact, maybe by the time you've heard this, you've already got your fill of SEC Media Days content. We've got obviously the news last week announced of our representatives for Auburn. And I think not surprising, but there was one missing, I think, that a lot of people thought would be there. So let me give him, and you can give your take on that, Austin. Obviously, Coach Golish will be there. Byron Brown, duh. I mean, like, that's just, you take your quarterback, especially if he's like the brand new fifth-year senior type of guy. I mean, that's just obvious. If you have the feel-good story along with just being one of the greatest kickers ever, given what he's been through, you take Alex McPherson. Like, that's just a duh as well. And then everybody thought it was going to be Xavier Atkins.
Yeah.
It was not. It was Champ Anthony, which is an excellent pick as well. But, Austin, what you make of that? No Xavier Atkins, and we almost got it right, I guess.
Yes. Okay. Well, I was thinking that. I was thinking back to when we both said Byram and Alex, and I think we both assumed Xavier as well. But I remember us mentioning Champ, that I would not be surprised if it was Champ or there were a couple options that we could have gone kind of at either spot. Besides Byram, I think Byram was a lock. But I think it makes a lot of sense. An older guy, a little bit older guy than Xavier, and so Champ is getting rewarded for his loyalty and commitment to Auburn, and is going to be an absolute incredible ambassador for Auburn and Tampa. So very, very cool. I'm very excited to see that. Not that this really matters, but I was also pretty excited just to see that it wasn't all USF guys. It'd be hard not to with the amount that came. Sure, but
say the jokes now, folks. I mean, everybody's been doing it all summer. Let's go.
But I think it shows something to see Coach Golish and Byram paired with Champ and Alex, two guys who have been through a lot during their career at Auburn and have seen the ups and downs. So excited to see all four of them. I think they're all going to be great representatives on Tuesday, and I look forward to seeing and hearing from each of them. I think they're going to be great. Lots of good coverage coming.
Lots of good coverage coming from that. There'll be press conferences, there will be interviews, there will be things said that everybody will take as, the God honest truth, and will be run with and said that this is, someone saying that their only expectation is a bowl game. Like, some of y'all just are looking for reasons to be mad out there. Like, just listen, we are just as excited as all of you guys for SEC Media Days, because it is the unofficial kickoff, at least of talking season. Yeah. And so we can start diving into some of the speculative talk a little bit. I would caution y'all that we really need to practice before that really gets going. But this is exciting. This is the first opportunity that your team is being together, at least representing, a portion of them is going to representing, talking about what this year might look like. Of course, they're going to say the right answers, and they'll represent Auburn well. But we'll have plenty of content for that. Like I said, next episode with Austin will be out, but we'll find a way to give you a little bit of coverage from that. And we'll probably do a Tuesday live stream after Auburn gets their the bulk of their content done for the day, and we can talk about it a little bit.
Tuesday morning, right?
Tuesday morning. I don't think there's been an official time. And here's what I will tell you. Even if there is an official time, every year it goes over schedule, because it's really the only thing they schedule or they plan on being like a set window is the major coach interview up on the podium where Greg Sankey comes out and announces them and stuff like that. So here's what I will say. I think Alex Golish is probably going to win the interviews, yes, but the press conference awards, because he loves to, be very frank, and I appreciate he's talker. I appreciate about that about him. So we'll have a lot to talk about, you and I, over the next couple of weeks with that. But there is your representatives for SEC Media Days in Auburn. More to come on that. This was a bigger news story this week, and I want to stress what we're going to talk about next is more of just a report. This is someone's reporting. They went out and saw the information, and we can only go off of what's shared through those things. I don't know who to attribute to as the first one. I'm looking at CBS and Brandon Marcello article. I don't know who broke the story, so I do apologize for that. But there was some discussion and news this week about a report about how this whole Auburn playing in Atlanta for their first game with Baylor, which I know, folks, we're all upset about it. Trust me, and Austin and I are too. But how this is all going to work, what's the incentive behind this? The headline reads as such: Auburn players set to share roughly $6 million in groundbreaking NIL deal tied to the Affleck kickoff game in Mercedes-Benz here in Atlanta, Georgia versus Baylor. Now, keep in mind from what the report says, and it's just a report, is that among up to 24 players is a guaranteed model to be sharing all this. So it doesn't sound like everybody is getting some money in this, if I'm understanding this correctly, Austin. There's rough estimates to all this kind of stuff, but it's a groundbreaking deal. I think that's the biggest news. Right or wrong, is this the right move for Auburn? Everybody's going to have their opinion, but this is like the first time something like this has been done, at least attached to like a neutral site game. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think regardless of if actual numbers were floated or not, when this came out and it was announced, we all had an inkling and there were certain verbiage used in the press releases about why this game was being moved to take place in Atlanta instead of in Jordan-Hare. And I think we all had an inkling on what this does for certain revenue sharing and revenue in the NIL space for Auburn. And so I think, you mentioned who to attribute it to. I think Brandon definitely put out $6 million first. I do remember several in the Auburn beat mentioning it was in a range. I think Justin Hoganson put 4 to 5, 4 to 6, sure, somewhere in there early on too. So I think we've all known this was, maybe we just without specific numbers, that this was a big driving factor for Auburn to do this. The up to 24 players is really interesting to me because I think you can look at that and immediately wonder, how's that going to go over? Like how's that going to look? Who's number 25 and how are they feeling right now? Yeah. But I mean, I think too, I don't want to sit here and man, I'm blanking on the Auburn football GM name right now, but I don't want to sit here and say I know how to do their job or how they should do their job. But I think that this number is not new to the Auburn football program, sure, like it is to all of us. I think that you can plan some in advance on how you want to allocate your funds, knowing what you have coming as well. But I'm sure we will have an idea on who some of these players are, because I think, in all fairness, I think this is probably going to work about how NIL was supposed to when it started. Players are going to be
incentivized to promote something and get
incentivized to promote and be compensated for it. Yes, their following and their brand and their name, image, and likeness will be used to promote an event that they happen to be playing in, and therefore they will be paid for it.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
It's honestly, and I mean this completely sincerely. It's going to sound hilarious given when you look at me and Kyle's mean mugs. It'd be no different than someone paying us to tell you about XYZ event on Saturday. Yeah. And so I don't have a problem with this. I don't have a problem with there being even 24 people, because I think you can look at Affleck as who's putting on the game, and you would imagine is partly paying these players. They're looking at who's got the most followers, who's going to have the most impact to get people to find out about our event and our game and come spend more money. So I doubt they have the decision. I'm sure it's a working, contract or whatnot, but this news doesn't surprise me that much. Maybe the figure. I think the figure for a lot of level-headed people, you can say, I kind of understand it. I kind of get when you look at what the cap is for what schools are supposed to share out of their revenue, and this can go toward more of that. You kind of look at it and you say, I can understand the appeal of moving a game when an hour and a half up the road when you get that kind of kickback. Sure. It's still not preferable, right? Like nobody actually wants that, like in any kind of way, especially fans and local business owners. But I will say this, and we've said this throughout the entire time, I have a hard time blaming the Auburn athletic department for the whole local business and city revenue thing when they've been able to use other avenues to offset that. The Argentina game was insane.
Oh yeah.
The Zach Bryan concert will be insane, and that's on a Saturday in the fall. Ella Langley coming to town will be insane. Okay, so I think they've done a good job of making sure their people are covered. You could argue what you want about will it ever equal what the home opener football game might be. I don't know, but I think when you look into what some other things are that have already been announced or will amount to, maybe in some tandem they will be.
Yeah. Listen, there is a lot of different opinions you can have about this, and I think most would be valid if they're done in a less emotional way. As we said, no one, this is not a preference to any fan, but you can't have it both ways. If you're gonna, have the players get paid and stuff,
right.
they got to seek creative ways to do these types of things. And this is, again, only a report about how this is going to work. And not to say that anyone's saying anything false, but sometimes we don't get the full extent and context of everything. Go ahead.
Well, I'll say this: when that figure came out too, I thought, all right, when's the next one? Because there's not for Auburn, but there's going to be other programs that are like, they're making how much?
Yeah.
Like there might have been other programs. I'm just throwing names out there. Tennessee might have thought, why would Auburn do that? Like they're going to lose a home weekend, and then you see $6 million, and it's like, oh, well, maybe not that bad.
It's like the meme. Well, no, it's like, hold on here. It's like, okay,
yeah.
I hope that meme comes across. We're old. We're both dads, so like
that is one of my favorite ones. So surely somebody knows what that is.
And that's the perfect way to describe this NIL deal. So we can all go, okay, well, just that the entire time and let it be. But there's some information for you. Do with it what you will. We can inform you all we want. We know some of you are going to overreact, but hey, it's the world of Auburn athletics, college athletics, and money. It can only get crazier. I'm going to move us into our technically still potpourri time, but more of a concentrated on a singular theme of schedules, because y'all know there's things that I love to talk about. It's my new baby girl, construction and schedules. So we got some new things that we definitely want to talk about. One of those we're going to start with, because it's about to start very quickly, to be honest with you. We've been putting it off for weeks because we've been inundated with news. So the very first thing we're going to talk about for you, you're going to add this to your fall calendars when you're coming into town. Yes, for football, hopefully for some soccer too. Auburn volleyball schedule are now out. Now, listen, I understand that everybody, doesn't necessarily set their calendars for that. I hope that you will, because if you will have a great time. Volleyball matches are high energy. They are a ton of fun, and you've got a lot of reasons to show up to them this year. So we won't maybe go through the whole thing here, but if you're interested, Auburn will be hosting Georgia Tech in a exhibition match to start off the year. I've actually attended the one here in Atlanta one time. That tends to be like a really good tune-up for Auburn, Georgia Tech. As far as I've seen them, they've been pretty good. They're going to be at the ETSU tournament, the SEC Big Ten Challenge, to start off the year versus Minnesota and Wisconsin. So a lot of time away from Neville Arena to start off the year. They'll go to Tallahassee on September 8th for Auburn versus Florida State in their showdown at the net event. They'll be in DePaul, which I always forget that DePaul, Austin is like way up north. I don't know why I thought they were somewhere else, but this is another tournament they'll be participating in September 11th through the 13th against a lot of smaller schools and DePaul. Then they'll finally come home to host the Alabama Showdown, where they'll be hosting it. This is what I dream of, Austin.
I was waiting for you to say that. I know.
Thank you. Hosting all the Alabama teams, or as many as you can, in one special event like this. Yep. We've been preaching about this for basketball, to do this as a showcase thing. So thank you, Auburn Volleyball, for doing this. Now, I think they've probably done similar things, but this is the first time I remember them making the Alabama Showdown.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think what's even cooler is it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You can go watch a real D1 match the morning of the Auburn-Florida game, the Auburn-Florida football game, which we know is at night. And so, it says TBA on Saturday, but I'm sure they're figuring out a way to make sure that's a thing that they can have during the day, so they can maximize on some of that attendance. This is, and we're not taking credit for this. We're not, saying somebody listened to us or anything. I'm just saying this is something we want to see more of for a lot of sports. And we have harped on for a while here. That is very exciting to get to see Auburn volleyball, because you better believe there will be people in town Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for that game, that Saturday night in Jordan-Hare. And what a great way to capitalize on some extra attendance on Neville Arena for Auburn volleyball.
Yeah, and those games will be UAB, Sanford, and South Alabama, as you talked about the morning of that all-important Auburn Florida matchup in football. Just really quickly here, I'll just point you to Kentucky as a SEC matchup in Neville Arena. They're always very good. But at Arkansas, home versus Kentucky, home versus Tennessee, at Vanderbilt, at Missouri, at Texas. Ooh, it's a tough stretch. At Texas A&M, because they just won the national championship, didn't they? In
Yes,
volleyball,
I
think
believe
they did.
so.
They got to go to Texas and Texas A&M back to back to.
Yeah,
ooh.
within a few days.
Gosh, home versus Ole Miss, home versus LSU, home versus Florida. Okay, they're making it up now. Home versus Oklahoma, and they're going to do some Halloween things on that. It's November 1st, but obviously the night before was Halloween. Home versus Georgia, home versus South Carolina. What an odd schedule. I'm just going to be honest. Like, it's like you're staying away, coming back and staying, going away, coming back and staying. And then at Alabama, at Mississippi State before the SEC tournament, which is back for the second year in a row. So that's your Auburn volleyball schedule. Wanted to cover that because, as we told you, that will be getting started very quickly here with their orange and blue scrimmage on August 16th. So just under a month away. Now, we've got some basketball news for you of the preseason variety and schedules. So I know this isn't the most exciting, schedule news, but listen, this is the way things are going, and we've seen this over the last couple of years with moving more from these on-campus preseason events like tip-off at Tumors. And I don't know that it's not going to happen, but I'm just looking at the tea leaves from last year and this continuing like it did last year. Higher profile, neutral site preseason games with sometimes a cause or a charity tied to it. And we've got the situation exactly the same here for Auburn men and women. So we'll talk about them both here. I always struggle with the name for some reason. Ballin and Boutwell. Ballin and Boutwell. I don't know why. Like, I can't, like, it won't roll off the tongue for me. Ballin and Boutwell playing in Birmingham. Auburn versus Florida State, October 14th at 7 p.m. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This is where Auburn played last year against
Oklahoma State,
and they lost that
correct.
one, correct?
Overtime, maybe.
Overtime, baby. And I think a lot of people at the time were like really worried after that game. He didn't. I mean, I know it didn't turn out to be the season everybody wanted, but as you saw the majority of the starters for the majority of the game. They treated it as almost like a real game. And obviously with good reason, with it going to overtime and things like that. Auburn versus Florida State. Now, a lot of ties there as programs, I mean, at least as names across programs and things like that. Maybe not so much in basketball, at least of recency. And I know they haven't been as great. So, like, you know, the high profileness of this matchup probably isn't there right now, but it's still Florida State. And Auburn and Florida State have had some good games in a lot of different sports. So I would highly encourage people to come out and, you know, especially if you're in the Birmingham area.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be presented by Nike and Hibbett again. We all found out together last year. The Hibbett founder is an Auburn alum. Remember that? That was fun.
So for you.
That's right. So in Birmingham and Boutwell again, very cool to see. I liked this event a lot last year. I thought it was a very neat way to kind of kick off the season and get one of these exhibitions, you know, that doesn't count, but it's televised. Or I think it was on YouTube. I don't even remember how they did it, but you got to see the team actually care about a game and opponent more than maybe the first couple of games inside Neville. So I thought that was very exciting. Like you said, Florida State is, I still think of them having that coach that they had for like 20 years. And so I'd totally forgotten they had a new coach I know I can see him, but they had a new coach last year as well. That kind of had a similar record as Auburn last year. And they did not participate in a postseason tournament, I don't think. So pretty cool to see. I think it's a good matchup. I cannot think of a time I've watched Auburn basketball play Florida State. I'm sure it's happened. I don't think they're on Quint's list.
They're not. I know they're not. I know we've played them recently. When I say recently, in the last like decade or two, but I can't place a win.
Usually in these press releases, they like put some of the series history, but I can't find anything on that. So, but anyway, very cool. I think it's going to be a really great atmosphere and setting. I think a lot of people that went last year said it was, there's not a ton of people in there the way they do it. So it's kind of very intimate and cool. I like it. I'm a fan of this. You know, if you'd asked me if I like this over tip off at Tumors, you know, I think tip off at Tumors is a very cool concept. And it has worked well in past. I think these are very cool games and very unique opportunities, though, and maybe prepare you a little more for the season ahead.
Yeah, like there's a hype event and then there's a preparation event, right? You don't prepare because
Yes.
you're always trying not to hurt yourselves at a dunk
Yes.
contest and a 3-on-3 contest with
Right.
men and women's, pairing up. And it can get a little, wet out there and a little bit
Exactly.
muggy and stuff like that. So you want to be careful. But anyway, listen, I know this will be great for opportunity for the Birmingham people. And we'll just throw this in here too. The women are going to be participating in the exact same event, same day at noon Eastern time, or noon Central time, excuse me. And that will be against the Florida team as well in UCF. So if you're an Auburn, Florida resident person, this is a good time for you to come up to Birmingham and you can see some of the in-state schools, I guess, that you have to contend with all the time. Larry Vickers and his ladies will be taking on the UCF Knights, and another opportunity for them in the preseason as well. It's not often that we see Auburn men's and women's play on the same day at the same location, and I'm a big advocate, frankly, of that. I know that's a controversial topic for some people, but I love it, Austin. I'm happy that we're going to have a full of Auburn in the Birmingham all in one day.
Yeah, I'm all for it too, and I think that'll be a great event. UCF. Not one of the major power names of in women's basketball, and so it's another good test for Coach Larry Vickers to see where your team's at, just like the Auburn men's team is doing with Florida State and like they did last year. So I think it's great they're being included in that, and I look forward to seeing how they fan out against that. I'm with you too, though. When I was in college, they did a couple of times where you could come and you stayed for the women's game, and it just, as soon as they left the court, the men came on to warm up. And it was awesome. It was very cool. It was a whole day, but it was a lot of fun. You didn't have to leave the stadium and come back in. Like you said, it's controversial. I'm sure there are reasons. I don't pretend to sit here and know everything, but I'm sure there are reasons. But I think it'd be a lot of fun if we did some more of it.
I could probably give you a few more reasons to do an event like this in the actual season. But for now, enjoy this opportunity in Birmingham for you Auburn fans out there in the preseason event. We'll park some of the other schedule news for next week, as has been the trend for the last several months, with just tons of news flowing in. We have one major topic this evening that we got to leave plenty of room for. And yes, folks, we are continuing our series of the Jordan-Hare North expansion project discussions, because if you've been following our talks over the last, when was this announced, Austin? 8A weekend was this?
Yeah, that sounds right. Okay. It was they ran a lot of promos for it during it, so that sounds right.
So we have obviously covered a bunch of stuff. The initial announcement, breaking that down, the why, where, when, all that kind of stuff. Timeline. We have talked about the different levels, and we have made it all the way, Austin, from the bottom, and now we're here at the top of the
Jordan-Hare. From the outhouse to the penthouse.
Oh my gosh, you did not just drop a Gus Malzahn reference in here, are you?
That was the best, man. When Gus would get fired up, we're going from the outhouse to the penthouse.
Nothing better than Gus Malzahn getting fired up, because it's like, man, he don't even care what he looks like. He's just happy to be here. Anyway. So yes, we're here in the penthouse, not the outhouse, I guess, down there where they put the away visiting team.
Those field level seats, I guess.
Those field level seats and all this. But seriously, go check out all those different talks that we've had about the different levels, explaining a lot of the things and talking through with you why maybe all this was made the way it was and the way it's going to work. And it'll get you excited for the next several videos of construction updates from the project that hopefully I'll be able to get you guys in the future. All right. So here we are. We're looking at the next level, which is going to be called the terrace level. So I will always point your attention to everauburn.com. Tons of information, tons of resources there for you to follow. There is a little map. Keep calling it schematic. There's a cross-section view where you can see how the different levels of this North End Zone project are going to break down, going from field, concourse, multipurpose, clubs, suites, levels 1 and 2, which was our last time we talked about this. We are doing the terrace level, which I think, frankly, the majority of the Auburn family and fan base will be able to get behind. I think if you have two levels that are going to be the most popular, it's going to be that one, this one we're talking about tonight, and the concourse level with Shug's Food Hall and all that. The more everybody can be here type of event, for the most part, there's some exclusive areas. I think, Austin, is there... I don't know how people would be mad at what's going to transpire with this level. Like, you've got to understand connecting. I'm going to start right there.
Yes, correct.
Connecting
Correct.
the upper decks and walkways for people who walk around and gather content for you all game. Amen, brother. Let's do it today. Can we get it there today? Anyway, I think you can't hate this.
This is the best part of the whole thing from a structural standpoint, from a feasibility standpoint, is the upper decks are connected. It is horseshoeing in Jordan-Hare Stadium officially. And if you are in one of the upper decks, you do not have to walk down the corner concourse all the way down, go down and go up the other side if you want to go see a friend. You can meet at the Tigers Terrace or the Eagles Perch or any of these other great upper places on the 6th and final level of Auburn North. So no, it's the best part to get to actually see that it's connected and that it's all one area to walk around. I think too, this is going to be a great spot for just, stretching the legs and looking over campus. I'm most excited about the views from this spot, because I think it's going to be a whole new vantage point of the Auburn campus that we've never seen before.
Yes, definitely provides a lot of common spaces. I'll also point you to there's a little bit of a breakdown of the level 6 terrace level, and it's that same things that we've been looking at. It shows you the common areas in blue, the premium event spaces in orange, but you can kind of just see that from an overhead view of how the spacing is all going to work and how it stretches from one sideline or one upper deck to the other. Now, let's start maybe piece by piece here. There will be some terrace deck seats, which are going to be premium spaces. And I don't know what the prices are going to be for that, but I'm going to take it, Austin. These are probably going to be the cheapest of all of the premium seat spaces, just kind of because you're going to be out in the open. It looks like, just like everybody else out there with the peons and all of us, no overhangs peons and things like that. Well, I'm a peon, so if I have to be a peon, everybody else is going to be a peon. But yes, so I would bet it's going to be incredible views sitting up that high. You'll be, you're back to the new video board, but you'll have a perfect view of the field and the mega. I mean, honestly, if you want to see the video board, the big one, this is going to be the best one because it's straight on and you get full blast and the speakers from the other one coming from behind you. So I would actually be very interested, Austin, in these type of seats if I have to sit in the end zone type of situation.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I think that these are upper deck seats. So I think that, you know what you get, even if you're just buying where seats have always been, upper deck versus lower deck. But like you said, there'll be reserved seats. There's 350 reserved seats up there. It's also approximately 500 standing room only passes. And so I don't think we've ever really seen that from an Auburn football standpoint of buying a standing room only pass or a general admission type pass. Think of going on top of War Eagle Wall at Plainsman Park. That it's kind of a similar setup as you could get a standing room only pass and still have an incredible view of the game, of the Boomtron. Are we still calling it that?
Sure.
And everything else. So I think that's very unique, but also a very exciting thing too. It says the 350 reserve countertop seats and caster chairs. I think of like, if you ever been to the Chop House at Truist Park for the Atlanta Braves, they've got like the setup where you got your own little table and your own little chair backs, it was the old media seating at Neville Arena. Now it's the premium area, but pretty cool. You get access to the perch and interior food and beverage space up there too, that you can find on our little sky or bird's eye view of our terrace level as well. So you got your own spot for food and beverage. I think that these are underrated of the premium seats. Like you said, they're going to be pricey. They're premium seats, right? Like nobody's questioning that, but I think they are probably the more commoner ones of the loge boxes and all the other things.
Loge
too. The loge boxes.
Yeah, I think if you're someone that is a little bit grumbly about, well, this is only for the people, they're pricing out everybody, there's an opportunity here for you to take in an Auburn football game. Yes, not without a seat, but I'm looking at it even zoom in right now in these standing room only.
Yeah.
What I'm assuming the stand, and I would definitely be interested in this because as someone who loves to move around,
right,
it is great to have a seat and park it for a little while. But if your goal is, I want to be in the experience, I want to be part of the game, and I don't need to have a seat, here you go. I mean, you don't have to fight for I mean, you will probably, it's probably first come, first serve, but
I'm
you don't have to
sure.
worry about competing for the ramp areas, that can be a little bit limited, because that's not a bad place to view some games either, if you're wanting to stand up for a little bit. But I would highly encourage you, just go look at the way this looks, and it completes everything in the upper deck. What I love is the aesthetic, Austin,
Yes.
of the closed-in view, and what that's going to do for atmosphere, stuff like that. And it's the cap of everything that we've been talking about with these seats. So love that. Going back, the Tiger Terrace area, as you have talked about, which is going to be, it's going to have concessions. It is going to have restrooms, open areas, great views of campus, which, I mean, there's not been really a great view unless you're at the very top of those sections in the end zone currently, to turn back around and maybe kind of hold your hands up and look. Now you can have that. I'm sure there's going to be events held up there as well. So I'm really excited about this one particular, and see what else they can do with it, even without talking about the game aspects of it. I think it presents a lot of opportunities.
No, I certainly agree. I love what you said about events up there. I think you're definitely going to see some nighttime, I don't know, galas or meeting groups out there, because it's going to be gorgeous. Galas or loge boxes and all the special things.
You went to British or Australian? I'm not sure which one.
Nobody knows. But I think you're going to see this area used all throughout the year, just like they have promoted this whole project from the beginning. So very exciting. I did see the other food option up there. We've mentioned the premium one, and some people were like, well, if you're still up there, how are you going to get food? There's other concessions, and it's all these fast flight and go ones that are, if you haven't used those, you're doing it wrong, because you can get in and get out of there very quickly.
Very quickly.
So I'm a big fan of those. I think they'll be great. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this spot. This will be one of the first things I do when it's all done, and the first game is complete, when it's completely finished, is I will make sure I find my way up to the top and just take a look around.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to like about this terrace thing, whether it's the seats. We talked about 350 reserve seats, 500 standing room only, passes of sorts up there, the way it's going to open things up. If you look how it connects to the two different upper decks that are currently exist, it looks from the overhead shot that it will be a seamless flow with the northeast ramp that will just kind of wrap up there. And I was wondering, with the way the other one's shaped, how they're going to do it, because it doesn't show a nice flow. But if you go watch like the video on auburn.com, you'll see as it scans across, you just come up some stairs from where they can connect with that. So maybe someday in the future, I don't know how they would do it, there's a way to make the ramp continue going to the backside of it. I don't know. Just that'd be a wish, just to kind of make things look even and stuff like that.
Right.
But there will be access points for you from every upper deck to close in this end zone and make it a really cool experience, which I'm gonna really, 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 really like. Now, I'm gonna park it real quick, Austin. I have not seen it for myself, and maybe I'm passing over this. The dedicated spot for the Eagle. This is confirmed on this. Is that what I'm seeing, or is that a space that is just being called the Eagle's Perch?
So what we're talking about, for those just audibly listening, on the blueprint view, right? Yeah. It says Eagle's Perch over there off to the right, in a bluish area. Yeah. I cannot find it on everauburn.com, like a specific, more talked about area on what that exactly is. I think, like you, I would think that is a dedicated area for the Eagle flight, right?
It feels like that's what they're leaning towards there, but when you read it, it says, I found the part, it says, with access to the perch, an interior food and beverage space tucked into the northwest corner. And then it goes on to explain some of those things. It says nothing about the Eagle, but it's an interesting thing because let's be honest, the most times that you hear I shouldn't say most. If you ask someone to quote what they say, if you'll direct your attention to the northeast end zone or below the flagpole, and that's where, correct, because it's a spot where people. So this is the area where the Eagle can often fly from, and seems to have a lot of likelihood that it's going to happen over there. So it just seems very interesting. And I feel like I saw somewhere, Austin, that this was confirmed, that there would be a dedicated flight space for the Eagle there. And I don't know that we can find it right now while we're kind of doing this on the fly, if there's any confirmation of that.
I'm trying to research real quick, but I wanted to ask you this, no matter what it was, whether this was confirmed or not.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, as our resident bird expert, if because and I don't know if this is just Auburn folklore or I've just always kind of been told this or I've grown up knowing this. I've always been under the assumption or the understanding that it is determined each week where the eagle flies based on either practice or based on wind or all those things.
Yeah.
So does all that get debunked if we have a permanent spot for it from now on, or we're just saying, all right, little birdie, too bad you're going from here every week. Like,
absolutely.
It makes you a little question it a little bit.
So I will tell you, as someone who's worked in the animal care space, that the interest of the animals always comes first. And so they will, for the ability to fly from somewhere, they will always take into consideration what their needs are first. And so if they need to, even if there was a dedicated spot, they would always, or even if they fly at all, make sure that they're going from an area that's going to set them up for success, because they're flying above almost 89,000 people at this point. So yes, there can be a dedicated spot, but they're going to do what's best for the animal, just to kind of the long and short of it.
Sure. That makes sense. And what I could see this being, and I did find on the auburntigers.com on the press release of the announcement of this, says the Terrace will also establish a dedicated home for one of Auburn's most cherished traditions, the Eagle Flight, creating a new focal point within the stadium experience.
Okay.
So this is Austin Scott talking. This is nobody with any credibility from Auburn athletics. Nothing. I know nothing. I absolutely know nothing. Clip that all the time. But what I see that as is it gives them a little bit of a leeway to say this is the spot, but sometimes, like you said, in the best interest of the animals, we're going to fly them from other spots. I wonder if you can hearken back with me into your Auburn lore. Are we getting some kind of recreation of the Eagles cage from where the green space was? Can you get in early and go look at the Eagles in this area? Or even if it's not like a cage, but if this is where you can maybe go get your picture. Habitat. Excuse me, habitat. Sorry, PETA. Habitat. Like I wonder if this is a little area where you get to see the Eagles and maybe get to see them a little bit up close for those who don't go to Football Fans and Feathers, for those who don't go out to the Auburn Raptor Center throughout the week. I don't know. It just says dedicated home for one of Auburn's most cherished traditions. So if what you're saying, if they do pick corners still each week, maybe this is at least where they can get a little pub time in.
Yeah. So what I will say is this, I paused their video of this space right now, and I see nothing right now that indicates to me that there will be a obvious launch point. Now, when I look at this, I see where the perch area is, and that probably dining area or event space area that they call the perch. There, it looks like there's a rooftop with a ladder going to another rooftop, and that is very intriguing to me. Maybe that's what they're talking about. Here's what I'm going to say. I think this is a great option if that is true, and we're being highly speculative right now. And that's what's going to happen based off what you read, a dedicated home for this tradition. It looks like maybe it's being left vague for now for the interest of the animals, but also what is feasible once this becomes more of a reality. It's right next to the flagpole. It's about where they will send them off from that area when they do that one, the high focal point. But either way, you've also got, if you look at that, you can see where they're going to have, it looks like an overhang over the ramp too, maybe for some shade. I don't know. It's not going to help you where the sun goes most of the days, but it'll at least be something. Are we leaving anything out of the terrace level? I think that's the bulk of it.
I think that's the bulk of it. I mean, this is going to be, like you said, the most accessible point for most Auburn fans when they're in the stadium. And so the pictures that are going to come from here are going to be pretty awesome. And look, it'll be old news to Brooks and Barrett and Hannah and Abby by the time they get there, but it'll be pretty cool for us.
Yes, definitely. We are excited. And listen, this concludes our walk through the levels. However, there's another major aspect that I do want us to talk about of this project that's outside the stadium, and we'll have at least one more segment on that. I'll do a quick review of all this information, everyauburn.com. We want you to go check out on your own if you haven't done so already, and we'll kind of look at it ourselves too to make sure that we've given you the fullness of all the information. But that is the terrace level. That is the perch, whatever it's going to be. The seats, the standing room only, the nice views of campus. There it is, the cap on at least the physical north end zone part of the Jordan-Hare North end zone project, or everauburn.com. That's going to do it for episode 181. It was an eventful one, a historic one for me personally. Once again, if you missed my personal announcement, we are proud to announce the official adoption of our beautiful baby girl, Hannah Faith. And my wife, Jessica, and I couldn't be happier. And yes, you will see me beaming and talking about her a lot, as much as Austin does his two twin boys on here. And so we'll have plenty to talk about in that publicly now, finally, Austin, in that way. So I know that now we can commiserate together, but also be happy together.
It's a mixture of both. If you thought the Auburn experience was a roller coaster, as you well know already, parenthood is one with 20 tops and flipsy turns and keeps you on your toes nonstop. But yes, congratulations again to you and Jessica. We are overjoyed for you both, and look forward to seeing a new little Auburn Tiger on the plains here very soon.
Yes, we're awesome times ahead for us personally, and we're excited to share some of that with you along the way. That'll do it for this episode, and as we go, I'll give us an opportunity to share where they can find us. E2C Network at gmail.com is a great way for me. You can also find the DMs for social media. Where can they find you, sir?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott on most things, and I will miss all of you next week. Some of you more than others, and but I hope everybody. No names. Hope everybody has a great week, and it's talking season, so get ready to fire off your hot takes and let us hear them.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for being here as we go. I remind you, the Auburn Creed asks you to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God. We're going to ask you to do the exact same thing. War Eagle.